if you're over 70 and you can still do these 7 simple things without help, you're not just aging well, you're actually aging better than most people your age. And I'm going to be completely honest with you right now. Most doctors won't tell you this, but these aren't just random little tests. These are real markers that researchers have quietly been studying for years. And what they found is surprising because it turns out that some of the simplest movements you do every day, things you probably don't even think about, are actually incredible predictors of how long you'll stay independent, how sharp your mind will remain, and whether you'll spend your later years feeling strong or struggling. Now, I know that might sound hard to believe. You might be thinking, how could something so simple really mean that much? But here's the thing, your body is always talking to you. It's always giving you signs, and most people completely miss them. They ignore the small changes until suddenly those changes aren't small anymore. But not you, because today you're going to learn exactly what to look for. And if you can do most of these 7 things, you should feel proud, really proud, because it means your body is holding up in ways that matter far more than any number on a scale or any birthday on a calendar. And if you're struggling with 1 or 2 of them, that's okay too, because I'm also going to explain what it really means and what you can start doing today to protect your strength, your balance, and your independence for the years ahead. So stay with me, because what I'm about to share could completely change the way you think about your own health. Let's start with the first sign, and this one surprises a lot of people. If you can stand up from a chair without using your hands to push yourself up, that's a huge indicator that you're aging exceptionally well. Now, I know that sounds almost too simple, right? But listen closely, because this is where most people get it wrong. This isn't about whether you're strong enough to lift heavy things or whether you go to the gym. This is about something much deeper. It's about what doctors call functional strength. And functional strength is what keeps you independent. Think about it. Every single day you sit down and stand up dozens of times. At the kitchen table, on the edge of your bed, in your favorite chair while you're watching the evening news. And when you can do that movement smoothly without grabbing the armrests or pushing off with your hands, it tells us that your legs, your core, and your balance are all working together the way they should. But here's what most people don't realize. When that ability starts to fade, it doesn't happen all at once. It happens so slowly that you don't even notice. You start using your hands a little more. You lean forward a little harder. You tell yourself it's just easier that way. And before you know it, you've lost something really important. Researchers at the University of California studied thousands of older adults, and what they found was eye-opening. The people who could stand up from a sitting position without using their hands were significantly more likely to still be living independently 10 years later. Not just alive, living well, going to the grocery store on their own, walking through their neighborhood, doing the things they loved, and the ones who couldn't. They were far more likely to need help with daily activities, to fall, and to lose their freedom much sooner. So, if you can still do this, that's your body telling you something powerful. It's telling you that your muscles are still firing correctly, that your joints are still stable, and that your nervous system is still coordinating everything the way it should. But if you've noticed it's getting harder, don't panic, because there's something you can do about it, and I'll come back to that. But first, let's talk about the second sign, because this one is just as important, and honestly, it might be even more overlooked. The second sign is whether you can walk at a normal pace without feeling out of breath or needing to stop. And I'm not talking about power walking or running. I'm talking about a comfortable, steady walk, like the kind you'd do if you were strolling through your neighborhood or walking from your car into the store. Now, here's why this matters so much. Your walking speed is one of the most reliable indicators of overall health that we have. In fact, some doctors even call it the sixth vital sign, right up there with your blood pressure and your heart rate. Because when you walk, you're using your heart, your lungs, your muscles, your brain, and your circulation all at the same time. It's a full body event, and if any one of those systems starts to weaken, your walking speed is one of the first places it shows up. There was a major study done with over 34,000 older adults, and the results were clear. The people who could maintain a walking speed of at least 3 feet per second, that's about 2 miles per hour, which is a very normal, comfortable pace, lived longer and stayed healthier than those who walked more slowly. And it wasn't just about their legs. It was about their heart function, their lung capacity, their muscle mass, and even their mental sharpness. Because walking isn't just physical, it's neurological. Your brain has to tell your legs when to move, how fast to move, and how to keep you balanced. And when that communication stays strong, everything else tends to stay strong too. So if you can still walk at a steady pace without getting winded, without your legs feeling heavy, and without needing to grab onto something for support, that's a very good sign. It means your cardiovascular system is still doing its job. It means your muscles still have endurance. And it means your body is still capable of handling the demands of daily life. But there's more to this than just speed, and that brings me to the third sign, which is something most people never even think about until it's too late. The third sign is whether you can walk backwards for at least 10 steps without losing your balance or feeling unsteady. Now, I know that sounds a little strange at first. You might be thinking, when do I ever need to walk backwards? But here's the truth. Walking backwards requires a completely different kind of coordination than walking forward. It forces your brain to work harder. It challenges your balance in ways that normal walking doesn't. And it activates muscles in your hips, your legs, and your core that often get weaker as we age, especially if we're not using them. When you walk forward, your body is used to it. You've done it a million times. Your brain barely has to think about it. But when you walk backwards, everything changes. You can't see where you're going. You have to trust your balance. You have to engage your stabilizer muscles. And your brain has to process spatial awareness in a whole new way. This is exactly why physical therapists use backward walking as a test for fall risk. Because if you can do it smoothly, it means your body still has the kind of control and adaptability that keeps you safe in unpredictable situations. Like when you step back to let someone pass in the grocery aisle. Or when you reach for something behind you and need to shift your weight. Or when you're moving around furniture in your living room. These are the moments when falls happen. And the people who stay steady in those moments are the ones who've kept their balance sharp. So if you can walk backwards without wobbling, without reaching out for the wall, and without that feeling of panic in your chest, that's another powerful sign that your body is aging beautifully. But now let's move into something even more telling, and this one might hit close to home for a lot of you. The fourth sign is whether you can still get down on the floor and get back up again without major struggle. And I want you to really think about this one for a moment. When was the last time you actually got down on the floor? Not because you fell, but on purpose. Maybe to pick something up. Maybe to play with a grandchild. Maybe to look for something that rolled under the couch. And when you did, how hard was it to get back up? Because here's what most people don't realize. The ability to get up and down from the floor isn't just about strength. It's about mobility, flexibility, coordination, and something called proprioception, which is your body's ability to know where it is in space. And all of those things together are what researchers call your movement reserve. It's like a bank account, and the more you have in that account, the longer you stay independent and capable. There's actually a famous test called the sitting rising test, and it was developed by a Brazilian physician who studied thousands of patients over the years. And what he found was stunning. The people who could sit down on the floor and stand back up with little or no support from their hands, knees, or arms had a significantly lower risk of dying in the next 6 years compared to those who needed a lot of help getting up. Now that might sound extreme, but when you think about it, it makes perfect sense. Because if your body can handle that kind of complex movement, it means everything is working. Your hips are mobile, your knees are stable, your core is strong, your balance is intact, and your heart and lungs can handle the effort. But if you avoid the floor altogether because you're afraid you won't be able to get back up, or if it takes you several tries and a lot of huffing and puffing, that's your body waving a red flag. It's telling you that something has weakened, and the earlier you notice that, the more you can do about it. Now, I'm not saying you need to be getting up and down off the floor 10 times a day, but if you can still do it when you need to, that's a really strong sign that your joints haven't stiffened up, that your muscles are still functional, and that your brain is still coordinating complex movements the way it should. And if you can't do it right now, don't feel ashamed. Because honestly, a lot of people lose this ability simply because they stop practicing it. They stop sitting on the floor, they stop bending in different directions, and the body adapts to what you ask of it. If you never ask it to do something, it eventually forgets how. But the good news is, with the right kind of gentle movement, you can start to build that ability back. And that brings me to the fifth sign, and this one has everything to do with how your brain and body are communicating. The fifth sign is whether you can still stand on one leg for at least 10 seconds without wobbling or grabbing onto something. And before you brush this off as something only gymnasts need to worry about, let me tell you why this is so incredibly important. Balance isn't just physical, it's neurological. Every time you stand on one leg, your brain is processing information from your eyes, your inner ear, and the sensors in your feet and joints. It's making thousands of tiny adjustments every second to keep you upright. And when that system works well, you don't even think about it. But when it starts to break down, that's when falls happen. And falls, as you probably already know, are one of the biggest threats to independence in older adults. More than a quarter of people over 65 fall each year. And once you fall, especially if you break a hip or injure yourself badly, everything changes. Your confidence drops. You start moving less. And that leads to more weakness, more stiffness, and more fear. But here's the hopeful part. Balance is one of the most trainable things your body does. Even if it's gotten worse, you can improve it with simple, safe practice. And the fact that you can stand on one leg for 10 seconds tells us that your vestibular system, which controls balance, is still sharp. It tells us your ankles are still stable. It tells us your core is still engaged, and it tells us your brain is still processing sensory information quickly and accurately. So if you can do this, you're already ahead of a lot of people your age. And if you can't quite hold it for 10 seconds yet, that's okay. Because just attempting it a few times a day, even while holding onto a countertop at first, can make a dramatic difference in just a few weeks. Your body responds fast to balance training, faster than almost anything else. Now let's talk about the sixth sign, and this one is something that happens quietly in the background of your daily life, but it says so much about how well your body is really functioning. The sixth sign is whether you still have a strong grip. And I mean really strong. Strong enough to open a jar without struggling. Strong enough to carry your groceries from the car without your hands cramping up. Strong enough to hold onto a railing firmly if you need to. Now you might be wondering, what does grip strength have to do with aging well? And the answer is everything. Your hands are connected to almost every major system in your body. Grip strength is directly tied to muscle mass, and muscle mass is one of the most important predictors of longevity. In fact, study after study has shown that people with stronger grips live longer, have fewer chronic diseases, and recover better from illness or surgery. It sounds almost too simple to be true, but the research is rock solid. One major study followed more than 5,000 adults over several years, and they found that for every decrease in grip strength, there was a corresponding increase in the risk of heart disease, disability, and even early death. Why? Because your grip is a reflection of your overall muscle health. And muscle isn't just about looking strong or lifting heavy things. Muscle is metabolic tissue. It helps regulate your blood sugar. It supports your joints. It protects your bones. It keeps your metabolism functioning. And as we age, we naturally start to lose muscle, especially if we're not doing anything to maintain it. But the people who keep their grip strong are the ones who are still using their muscles every day. They're still active. They're still moving. They're still challenging their body in small but meaningful ways. So if you can still twist open a stubborn pickle jar, if you can still shake someone's hand with confidence, if your hands don't feel weak or shaky when you're holding something, that's your body telling you that you've still got solid muscle tone and that your nervous system is still sending strong signals to your muscles. And that is a very, very good thing. But now we come to the seventh and final sign, and honestly, this might be the most underrated one of all. The seventh sign is whether you can still touch your toes or at least come close without sharp pain, or feeling like your whole back is going to seize up. Now I'm not talking about bending like a yoga instructor. I'm talking about a gentle forward fold where you can reach down toward your shins or your ankles without your hamstrings screaming or your lower back locking up. And here's why this matters more than most people think. Flexibility, especially in your hips and hamstrings, is one of the key things that keeps your spine healthy and your movement fluid. When your hamstrings get tight, they pull on your pelvis. When your pelvis tilts, it puts pressure on your lower back. And when your lower back is constantly under strain, everything else starts to hurt. Your knees compensate, your hips get stiff, your posture changes, and before long you're walking differently, sitting differently, and feeling older than you actually are. But if you can still bend forward with relative ease, it means your posterior chain, that's the muscles along the back of your body, is still mobile and functional. It means your spine still has good range of motion. And it means you're far less likely to throw your back out doing something simple like picking up a bag or bending over to tie your shoe. Flexibility is protective. It keeps your joints healthy. It reduces your risk of injury. And it makes everyday movements feel smooth instead of stiff and painful. So if you've still got that ability, hold on to it. And if you've lost some of it, the good news is that even just a few minutes of gentle stretching every day can bring a lot of it back. Your body wants to move. It's designed to move. And when you give it permission and practice, it responds. Now, here's the part where everything starts to come together. And this is where you'll really understand why these 7 signs matter so much. Here's what all 7 of these signs are really telling you. They're not just random little tests, they're windows into how well your entire system is working together. Your muscles, your joints, your balance, your heart, your lungs, your brain, and your nervous system. They're all connected. And when one part stays strong, it helps keep the others strong too. But when one part starts to weaken and you ignore it, that weakness spreads. It's like a chain. And the goal isn't perfection, the goal is awareness. Because once you know what to look for, you can do something about it before it becomes a real problem. And that's what separates the people who stay active and independent well into their 80s and 90s from the people who start declining much earlier. It's not luck. It's not genetics alone. It's paying attention to the small things and taking action while you still can. Now, if you went through all 7 of these signs and you can do most of them, I want you to take a moment and feel genuinely proud. Because you're not just aging, you're aging well. You're in a better place than a lot of people your age. And that didn't happen by accident. It happened because somewhere along the way, you kept moving. You stayed active. You didn't give up on your body. And your body is returning the favor. But I also know that some of you are watching this and maybe you're struggling with 1 or 2 of these things. Maybe you can't stand up from a chair without using your hands anymore. Maybe your balance feels shaky. Maybe your grip isn't what it used to be. And if that's you, I need you to hear this very clearly. You are not too old to get stronger. You are not too far gone to improve. And you are not stuck where you are right now. The human body has this incredible ability to adapt, even in your 70s, even in your 80s, even in your 90s. When you start moving in the right ways, even gently, your muscles start to wake up. Your balance starts to improve. Your joints start to loosen. And your confidence starts to come back. I've seen it happen over and over again. People who thought they were done, who thought their best years were behind them, who thought they just had to accept feeling weak and unsteady. And then they started doing small, simple movements every single day. And within weeks, sometimes even days, they felt different. Stronger, steadier, more like themselves again. And that's because your body wants to work for you. It's just waiting for you to give it the right signals. So let me give you a few practical things you can start doing today, right in your own home, that will help you keep or rebuild every one of these 7 abilities. First, practice sitting down and standing up from a chair without using your hands. Even if you can only do it once or twice right now, that's fine. Do it every single day. Make it part of your routine. Maybe every time you get up to get a glass of water or walk to the kitchen. That simple movement, repeated over time, will build functional strength faster than almost anything else. Second, go for a walk every day, even if it's just around your block or down your driveway. Keep a steady pace. Focus on standing tall, swinging your arms gently, and breathing comfortably. Your walking speed will naturally improve as your heart and lungs get used to the movement. And if you want to challenge yourself a little more, try adding a few steps backwards at the end of your walk. Just 10 or 15 steps, holding onto a railing or a wall if you need to. It'll feel awkward at first, but that's exactly why it works. It wakes up the parts of your brain and body that have been on autopilot. Third, get on the floor once in a while. I know that sounds intimidating if you haven't done it in years, but you don't have to do it perfectly. Start by kneeling next to your couch or your bed, something sturdy you can hold on to. Lower yourself down slowly and then Practice getting back up using as little help as possible. Over time, you'll get smoother and stronger, and your confidence will grow with every attempt. Fourth, practice standing on one leg while you're brushing your teeth or waiting for your coffee to brew. Just lift one foot slightly off the ground and hold it for as long as you can. If you need to touch the counter for balance, that's completely fine. You're still training your body, and the more you do it, the less support you'll need. These little moments add up. They don't require a gym, they don't require equipment, they just require consistency. Fifth, work on your grip. Squeeze a tennis ball while you're watching TV. Carry your grocery bags instead of using a cart when it's safe to do so. Open jars. Use your hands. Keep them active and strong. And sixth, stretch gently every single day. Sit on the edge of your bed in the morning and reach down toward your toes. Hold it for 20 or 30 seconds. Breathe into it. Don't force it. Just let your body open up a little bit every day. Flexibility comes back slower than strength, but it does come back. You just have to be patient and kind with yourself. And finally, the most important thing of all, don't wait until something hurts or breaks to start caring for your body. Don't wait until you fall to work on your balance. Don't wait until you can't get out of a chair to build your leg strength. Because your body is always listening, it's always responding. And the small things you do today will determine how you feel a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I know it's easy to feel like aging is something that just happens to you, like you have no control over it. But that's not true. Yes, time moves forward. Yes, your body changes. But how it changes and how well it works, that's still up to you in so many ways. The people who age the best aren't the lucky ones. They're the ones who stayed curious, who kept moving, who didn't give up on themselves. And that can be you. That is you if you decide it is. So if you're over 70 and you can do most of these 7 things, celebrate that. Protect it. Keep doing what you're doing. And if you can't do all of them yet, that's okay. Start where you are. Be consistent. Be patient. And trust that your body still has so much strength left in it. Because it does. You just have to remind it. And when you do, you'll be amazed at how much you're still capable of. You're not done. Not even close.